What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Jamon, man. I'm back at it again. Today we got from $42 billion to $0. This dude fumbled $42 billion. I don't know who he is, but we finna figure it out right now. You feel me? If y'all new to the channel, make sure drop a like, comment, and subscribe. Subscribe to the channel, help your boy grow, man. We get it.
The story of rags to riches. But how many times have you heard about someone going from multi-billion-dollar riches to empty pocket rags?
How you
Well,
fumble
that's
$42
exactly what
billion
happened
dollars?
to Indian businessman Anil Ambani. From the most expensive sibling rivalry in the world to jail bailout scandals and a mind-boggling $7 billion debt. Here's how one man went from
Damn.
$42 billion to zero.
He fumbled 42. How can you fumble $42 billion, bro? He fumbled 42 bill.
Ambani rising.
Not Mill.
So
Bill.
what exactly is Anil Ambani, and how did he fall so far? Well, to get an understanding, first we need to take a trip back in time to mid-20th century India. Anil
I
was
don't know
born
who he
in
is. I'm already
Mumbai,
mad at him.
then known as Bombay, on June 4th, 1959. The youngest son of the founder of one of the most powerful companies on the planet, Dhirubhai Ambani. At the age of 17, Dhirubhai had migrated from India to Aden in Yemen to start his career as a clerk at Bessie & Co., a large trading firm. Here, he learned skills in trading and accounting and got a taste for entrepreneurship. Ready to strike out on his own, Dhirubhai returned to India in 1958, where he started his own business trading spices, which eventually developed into his venture Reliance Commercial Corporation. While Dhirubhai and his
He was
wife
trading spices?
Kogilevan had already had their first son Mukesh on April 19, 1957, once back in India they welcomed little Anil. As a young family, the Ambanis were living in a humble two-bedroom apartment at the Jai Hind estate in Baleshwar, Mumbai. But Dhirubhai's business was on the up. He soon expanded into the textiles industry and followed a strategy of offering high-quality products at a much lower cost than his competitors. This risky approach, which depended on high-volume sales to be profitable, was a raging success and saw business grow quickly. Soon, Dhirubhai was able
That's
to
smart
move the
marketing.
Ambani clan into a 6-story apartment in the Usha Kiran building, Mumbai. Considering his humble beginnings, Dhirubhai was determined that his sons should learn the value of hard work and would often organize incentive-oriented family outings. Anil later recalled that he and his elder brother would go out on challenging 6-mile treks in the pouring rain and receive a box of mangoes as a reward, to show them that hard work and determination pays off.
A box of
But
mangoes,
we'll soon
dude?
see how successfully
Mangoes
those
are
attempts
mid.
to inspire business savviness worked out for each of Dhirubhai's sons. By the 1980s, Reliance had begun to expand into other industries, including the
Mangoes are so
profitable
mid,
industry
dude.
of petrochemicals. By 1983, Reliance had gone from a single, minimal office in Mumbai to being worth $122 million. As profit
Damn.
continued to pile in, Dhirubhai purchased a colossal 14-story high-rise
This is why
property
you never
in
give
Cove
up.
Parade, a significant business district in Mumbai, which became the official Ambani family home. There was never any question of whether brothers Anil and Mukesh would join the family business, and by
They
their
look like they got
mid-20s
rich.
both had important roles within Reliance Industries. Aged just 24
Bro, whoever
at the
drew
time
them,
of
bro,
their
y'all funny.
respective inductions into Reliance, Mukesh joined in 1981 as a hands-on facilities manager, and Anil came through the door in 1983 as an executive
Bro, they
dealing
look
with business
fake.
investors and the press. The roles suited each man perfectly. Mukesh was the more low-key, rigidly focused businessman who liked spending his evenings in with his wife Nita and 2 children. Anil, on the other hand, was a little more extravagant, enjoying running with Mumbai's elite crowd, mixing with socialites and Bollywood stars, developing a reputation as something of a playboy. While
Oh, he was a
Mukesh shied away
playboy.
from the spotlight,
He was a player.
Anil relished in it. But Anil's love of stardom proved quite a problem in more ways than one.
Come on, man. Tell me how he started losing the
Ambani
money.
Civil War. While Anil loved mixing with those in the Bollywood Hall of Fame to strengthen business relationships, he also had his very own romance with Bollywood actress Tina Moonim. And while they say love is blind, Anil's family certainly weren't when it came to Tina's profession. At that time, being in the film industry was slightly taboo for a traditional family like the Ambanis, and Anil and Tina were soon encouraged to call it quits. However, after a lot of convincing, Anil's parents reluctantly gave their blessing, and in February 1991, Anil and Tina were finally married. While Anil might have thought that this was the last major feud he'd have with his family members, he had no idea the storm that was coming. By
The storm.
2002, Reliance had grown into a $15 billion conglomerate, but tragedy was about to strike the Ambani family. On July 6th that year, Dhirubhai Ambani died suddenly of a heart attack, aged 69. At the time of his
Dang.
unexpected passing,
R.I.P.
Dhirubhai was ranked the 138th richest man in the world according to Forbes, with a net worth of $2.9 billion. At the time, the Parliament of India had
Imagine being
strict
like
rules about
2.9
inheritance,
billion
and
dollars.
the Ambanis had to follow a law called the Hindu Succession Act. Under the Hindu Succession Act, the personal property of a man who dies without leaving a will has to be divided among his widow and children. In the case of the Ambanis, the responsibility of running Reliance was the biggest issue to iron out. As the eldest, Mukesh took on the mantle as chairman of the family business, and Anil became the vice chairman. While this might seem like a logical conclusion to the problem of succession, the two brothers were very different, and cracks began to show as soon as the power shift
It was
occurred.
beefed
As
out.
the eldest, Mukesh saw himself as the sole boss of things, whereas Anil saw the two as equal, and it reached a point where each brother was making important decisions for the company without consulting the other
It was
first.
beefed
Sibling
out.
rivalries aren't exactly uncommon, especially when it comes to arguing who's the best. But the role of Reliance had become so important for India's economy that something needed to be done. Things got so bad that even India's finance minister tried stepping in to get these bickering brothers to make up, to no avail. It was going to take even more than a government official to quash the most expensive sibling rivalry of all time.
That's tough. So they both really fumbled it. How y'all gonna come on, dog?
More
Y'all gonna
suited
do
to
that,
settle
man.
this rift than mommy
Hang on,
dearest.
I'm about to fast forward it though.
To cap off his financial successes, Anil was finally listed on Forbes' 2008 list of billionaires as the sixth richest man in the world, an astonishing $42 billion
That's what
to
I
his
want to
name.
hear.
But
$42
despite all
billion
this,
dollars.
it still wasn't enough, and Anil still felt he was in the shadow of his older brother, who was just one step ahead of him in position number 5. $1 billion richer.
So he had
Little did
40,
Anil know,
43
however, that his
billion.
jealous
He had
ambition
42
was
billion.
about to see him come tumbling down. Phone problems. Anil's problems really started when he discovered that his mobile company, Reliance Communications, needed to drum up a higher number of sales if they were to continue to succeed in the market. To fund his plans for mega extension, Anil took out numerous massive loans to prop up Reliance Communications in a bid to keep up with advancing technology. Thanks to Anil's $2 billion investment into acquiring 3G capabilities, it's estimated that this 3G expansion accounted for around 50% of Reliance
For
Communications'
3G?
debt. However, there was a light at the end of the tunnel, as at the time, Reliance Communications were in talks with South African mobile company MTN to combine the two companies together into one mega mobile merger. This was expected to spawn a powerful global telecoms firm, spanning two growing mobile markets in India and South Africa, touted at over $70 billion in value. But disastrously, the plan failed, and all thanks to a member of Anil's family clan. Remember that right of first refusal agreement the brothers signed in 2005? Well, that deal gave Mukesh priority claims on shares of Reliance Communications in the event of a sale or merger. This created a legality issue that meant MTN was unwilling to close the deal, and it fell through in July 2008. Anil's hopes for a debt-clearing way out were dashed. As if things couldn't get any worse, in April 2011, Anil's managing director and 2 vice presidents were arrested on suspicion
Oh
of
no, I ain't laughing
conspiring
because
to
they
acquire
arrested them.
mispriced mobile
Just
network
look at the
licenses
picture,
for
bro. It's
companies
funny.
Reliance Communications invested in to deceptively bolster share prices. Now in a sea of debt and scandal, it seemed that the only way forward was to borrow even more money to pay back the money Anil had already borrowed. In 2012, Anil secured yet another loan from 3 Chinese banks, the Industrial and Commercial Bank of China, China Development Bank, and Exim Bank
Dang,
of
just
China.
digging more
Between the
holes.
trio of banks, Anil secured a whopping $1.2 billion
He said
to
a
help
whopping.
repay the $7.19 billion pile of debt that had stacked up around Reliance Communications by 2011. But as dire as the situation was getting, the worst was yet to come. Brotherly betrayal. Another bank-busting venture had begun germinating in 2010 when Anil took out a loan of $922 million from Exim Bank to build a huge 780 megawatt power plant. This seemed like a feasible way to eventually turn a profit, in on his younger brother's industry like rising above it, tap into their non-liquid assets to make payments. However, while Anil claimed that he'd
I don't
sold
know. I basically get the story now, man. If y'all enjoyed this video, man, y'all make sure to drop a like, comment, subscribe, man. I'm all dog.